I will ask you though, Danny, you never sent me any chats or anything, so I'm assuming you understood everything. Okay, good. Well, here's the issue with higher level math is that, you know, in 7th or 8th grade and you got photo math, you just hold up your cell phone to the problem and it tells you the answer.
I didn't even know it existed.
It doesn't help with geometry.
Just you.
Right?
Yeah, proofs.
Yeah, it's not going to do a proof.
Actually, you can Google proofs.
You can Google proof. And by the way, that is true. That is true. But you have to know how to Google it. I'll just say it's usually you got to do a little, oh, that's not the one I want. That's not the one. You got to do some searching for it. Okay. Any questions on the homework? All right. I will be collecting that. So you have told me that this is correct now, except field day, I was just told is now Friday.
Yeah, I know, right? That's so fun.
Well, no, she said it could be Wednesday or Friday.
No, she came in and said Friday.
Yeah, it's Friday.
It's definitely
That's not going to affect us because I have you period 2. So we will still do a chapter review on Friday. This is our last test. It does say we're going to do 14.1a. I don't know if that's the one where I'm going to choose something from chapter 14 to do to take up that last day of class. The reality, if we actually count days, it's 1, 2, 3. There's only 4 days of math left. That's it. Now, we have 3 weeks of material, but there's only 4 actual classes of math left. So you've made it to the end of geometry, basically. Next year, Algebra 2. Many of you that, I don't want to say struggled. If you struggle with geometry, you'll still struggle with Algebra 2. But if you were like, well, I've always been an A student in geometry, those proofs kicked my butt. Algebra 2 is going to be more up your alley, right? It's going to be much more standard. And by the way, all the math courses that you will take will probably a bit more up your alley. Just so you guys know, if you're planning on going to college, I would highly look at, like, this is what I want to go for. Take a look at what classes you're required. If you're required to take calculus in college, then you definitely, absolutely positively, senior year, you're going to want to sign up for pre-calc. It's going to be a challenging course. There's not a single person here that couldn't do the course. It's just a really challenge. It's like chemistry, right? It's a really challenging course. It requires you to put solid effort every night into homework, which we know for this class it has issues. And I'll just say, if you don't do your homework in pre-calc, it's like chemistry. You can't pass pre-calc without doing homework. Chris, you do homework well. You're one of you and Cadence are kind of the 2 shining stars. Everyone else gets pretty lazy.
How dare you? I ain't no star.
Sorry.
Every now and then
I
I
am the
star.
desolate landscape of Mars. I am the atmosphere that does not exist on Mars.
Our school requires 4 years of math. Guys, our school requires 4 years of math. So if you don't want to take pre-calc is analogous to, it's a little bit different than college algebra, but it's pretty darn close. If you don't want to take college algebra your senior year, we will have an addition. It's not going to be math for dummies or anything like that. But it will be a math course at not as a rigorous level as pre-calc. Now, like some people are like, woohoo, that's the one for me. Just like I said, if you as you get closer to your senior year, and you're going to college, I need you to look at your future. And if your future involves calculus, you want to take pre-calculus.
My future involves becoming a streamer on Twitch.
Yeah.
Analytics, would that be something that you want to take if you're looking at business courses?
I don't see why not. I mean, that can come, there's a lot of different, that term is a little amorphous. It's you'd have to say specific. That can mean lots of things.
Yeah.
All right. Probably the course that we'll offer for seniors that aren't taking pre-calc is probably a probability and statistics course. All right. Homework. It looks weird. There's a lot of instructions here. These are not the instructions that are in your book. Questions 1 through 10, I want you to put the formula in slope-intercept form. Questions 11 through 16, new formula today, point-slope form. And then 17 through 24, it's your choice. Whichever one you want to, you can.
We're 111 pages off.
What?
From my favorite number.
Oh, you're so funny.
69 question mark. Oh
Uh,
my gosh.
Ethan, your math is horrible.
That's okay. Math is horrible.
That would be 444.
You know what? I would like to see a mathematician calculate how much I can make him hurt. So.
I think there is a scale for pain.
And then after he's done calculating pain, he's gonna calculate how many bones are broken in his body.
All of them.
But using the
Chris.
small root of a semi-truck.
Bluster is not your suit.
Excuse me.
Bluster is not your suit.
What's a bluster?
What you were just doing.
I don't know what that is.
You puff up like a puffer fish and you make statements. Yeah.
Are we doing all of them or?
These are all. These are all. So it's 1 through 24.
It's 1 through.
1 through 24, all of them. It's just that you use the slope intercept for 1 through 10. Some of you are probably panicking 24. These right here, 1 through 10, are 2 minutes to do 1 through 10. 2 minutes.
Where did you find this number?
You'll see why here in a second.
What if I just leave it
Definitely not
buried and I hit my head and like I can't do it?
You should have done 5 seconds.
Then don't hit your head.
He doesn't have to, he already is. I'll try. I can make any problem.
All right. Here we go. So this is writing linear equations. Writing linear equations. All right, linear equations. These are, remember, equations that make lines. This is kind of where we're at right now. That's why I printed off the wrong sheet for you guys. I printed off 13.8 and we're in 13.7. We have seen this form. We've also seen standard form, right? This is slope-intercept form. This is standard form right here. Here's an example of an equation standard form. We messed around previous class. Slope-intercept form is the second one, and this is the one that you learned last year in Algebra 1. Y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. Okay, cool. We graphed these. The previous homework, what we had was they gave it to you in standard form where you graph the intercepts, or they gave it to you in slope-intercept form. You graph the y-intercept, you apply the slope. That's where we stand. I also threw table of values. We have not done anything table of pain this year, but that is always an option. If you ever on a test and you're like, I don't have my graphing calculator, I don't know what to do, you can always do a table of value if you don't know. I mean, like literally, you can always do a table of value. It's easy to do.
Should you just stop calling it table of values and just call it table of pain?
And I did show you on your calculator where the table of pain was on your calculator too. You can have your calculator do the table of pain. All right, writing equations. This is ridiculously easy. This is the one that I said would take you, I don't know, 2 minutes to do 10 problems. You ready?
Yes.
All right.
Is that
They are going to give you, look up here, please. They are going to give you the slope, and literally, here's the slope of this line. Here's the y-intercept, and they're going to ask you to write the equation in slope-intercept form. There is nothing challenging here. I mean, there's nothing here other than the fact you got to remember slope-intercept form. What's slope-intercept form? Y equals mx plus b. It tells you the slope is negative 5/3, so where does negative 5/3 go? It goes for m. In other words, this becomes your m. Where does the y-intercept go? Goes for the b. It's just, there's no math involved here. There's erase the m, write negative 5/3, erase the b and write 4, and you're done. That's 1 through 10.
But you just write that, you don't have to graph.
There's nothing to do.
Well, you don't even have to do it.
You don't have to graph it.
You don't have to do anything. That's it. That's the answer. That's literally why it says the word easy. Okay? They become more challenging here, but the first couple ones are simple. It literally tells you the slope and the y-intercept. It literally tells you the slope and y-intercept. Write it in slope-intercept form. You're done. I don't know why I repeated the first one, but this is literally the same one, so ignore that one. Matt, what's the equation, the middle one?
Y equals 3x plus 5.
How about just 3x minus 5? What you said would have been fine, but a plus and a minus turns into a minus. Yes?
Yes, my brain just works.
Seth, the last one?
What? Oh, we're gonna have 3/4 x minus.
How about you say the whole thing?
Oh,
Y equals mx plus b.
No. In yellow.
Oh, you want me to say that one, not the.
No, I want you to say the last one, but you got to say the whole equation.
Okay, y equals.
There you
3/4x minus 0. So
Why isn't it plus 0?
plus 0. Oh wait, yeah, plus 0. I don't. It doesn't matter either way.
So guess what it really should be written as if it could go either way.
It's just going to be y equals. That's it. It's 3/4x.
See what he did? Now, would I mark it wrong if you put plus or minus 0? No,
No.
right? Because and the only reason it could be minus 0 is because it's 0. It doesn't make a difference.
0 plus.
All right. Is this something you could do? Half of you are doing your homework right now because you're like, oh, this is easy. It will get more challenging than this, so we better look at one of those.
Yeah.
All right, so this is the hard one. All right, now you got to stop what you're doing. Even if you're doing homework, you got to pay attention. So the first ones is it 1 through 6, really easy. And then you get to 7, like, whoa, something's happening. Okay. Now they're going to give you the intercepts and ask you to write it in slope-intercept form. All right, are you paying attention?
yes, sir.
Okay. This is easy once you understand the pattern. It's not easy when you first start and look at, I don't know what to do. This says the x-intercept is -6 and the y-intercept is +3. We got to think about this. What are you if you are an x-intercept? Where do you live? On the horizontal axis. So if it says the x-intercept is -6, that's a point. What is any y value on the x-intercept? On the x-axis, sorry. What is any y value on the x-axis? If you live on the x-axis, what's the y value? Anywhere on, it's 0. I'm sorry, so I didn't hear you. So that's a point. In fact, that point is any intercept lives right here. The x-intercept lives on whatever that number is, comma 0, and the y-intercept just flip-flop, 0, comma, and that number. So I can write both of these as points. Do you see what I just did? The x-intercept, because it lives on the x-axis, the y value is 0. So if the x-intercept is -6, it's -6, comma 0. Not an equation, but it's a point.
So this is 0, 3.
So this one is 0, comma 3. Not an equation. That's step 1. If they give you the intercepts, the first thing you do is you can screw this up really easily. Is you write the 2 points. You ready? Okay, once you have your 2 points, we're going to calculate the slope. 2 points to find a line. So we calculate the slope. So step 2 is you calculate the slope. These 2 points are on the line, so we calculate the slope. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. You see what I'm doing here? 2 negatives turn into a, so this is 3 over, which is a half. You see what I did?
Oh, God.
I calculated the slope. Now we have the slope. There's my m. What do I need for the equation? B is the y-intercept. It's right there. So the equation would be, Cadence, the equation therefore would be,
Oh,
Sounds like
y equals 1/2 x plus 3.
and you're done. Okay, I'm going to back this up to the very start again. They're going to give you the intercepts. Step number 1, this is where you'll screw up. You'll put the 0 in the wrong spot. So you might want to write that down, unless you have that solidly in your head. The x-intercept will be that number, comma 0. The y-intercept will be 0, comma, that given number. You write those 2 points. That's step 1. Step 2, you calculate the slope. The slope is the slope formula that we've been using for a while. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Plug in the numbers. I would highly recommend that you label. Come on, Ethan, you can do this. Write something down so you remember this, so when you get to homework, you can do it. I mean, you can just write down steps, that's fine. So we calculate the slope, we got a half. To use y equals mx plus b, we need the slope, hey, we got it, it's a half, and we need the y-intercept, hey, we got it, it's right there. It's 3. Okay, you said you put those two in the formula. So this one isn't a, I don't know, 5-second one. This is a minute. That's not too bad. You have to remember the steps though. Come test day, you know, it would be best if you had somewhere in your book of truth these written. I don't say resource card, but you take pre-calc with me, then we'll get back to using a resource card. No book of truth in algebra 2 and higher. The only reason we had a book of truth this year is because there's just too many theorems and postulates.
I know.
We rarely
Otherwise,
ever used after like chapter.
Okay, we all right? All right, that is definitely a wow. All right, we should probably practice this a few times. So here we go. If you want to write these down, since I didn't hand you a piece of paper today, I got 3 different problems. Matt, you remember step 1?
Okay, now we're on 11 now.
No, before that.
Well,
Turn them into points. So what are the 2 points? Pun intended because they're 2.
2-0 and then 2-0.
The other way around. First one was right, second one was wrong. It is 2-0, but the other one, 0, -2. All right. So I realize this is really small, but we okay? Now we do the slope. If you do this pattern, it's always that minus that over that minus that. So -2 minus 0 over 0 minus 2. Oh, well, that's really small. That gives me -2 over -2, which is no 1. So the slope is 1. The y-intercept, it's right there. So what's the final? Here's your slope. Here's your y-intercept. What's the final equation?
I don't remember.
Y equals mx plus b.
Okay, so y equals 1 plus negative
1x.
1x plus negative 2.
You love that plus -2 thing, right? How about just,
Yeah, I do like the plus negative.
I would never mark that wrong, by the way. Yes? So much in math, it's, you just got to hang with the teacher until you see what's the pattern, and then, okay, I got it.
oh,
Right.
I gotta hang with you. Hang after school.
Please not after school, that'd be creepy. But actually, you know, the one thing about teaching high school is that you get higher up, and eventually it's like, oh yeah, you know, you will be an adult next year and that sort of thing.
Oh gosh.
Kind of weird. All right, second one real quick. Step 1, points. It's always -3, 0, and 0, 9. Slope, 9 minus 0, 9. 0 minus -3, 3. So we get 9 over 3, which is 3. Stop, or -3. That's not right. That's wrong. That shouldn't say -9, it should say 9. I did get the slope right though. Not the droid you're looking for. 3 is your slope, 9 is your y-intercept, so it's y equals 3x plus 9. Easy. Ignore this negative, that shouldn't be there.
No.
Yeah, okay, that's really easy.
What about the negative sign?
What negative sign?
The one that shouldn't be
I
there.
just said, I'm gonna throw things at you. All right, Matt, you just earned doing the next one.
No.
Again, Matt, wow.
Okay. Okay, it's -6, 0, and 0, -2.
Okay, can you do that slope real quick?
No, not my turn.
This minus this over this minus that.
That's just gonna be
You slide
over. Sorry, -3 over -1.
-2. Oh, you're already reducing.
Yeah.
Right. So I get -2 over +6. And so that's what, -1/3. Maybe I copied these. I don't know. That's why that left that negative there. I don't know. So what's the equation?
Y equals 1/3 x.
It's negative. But
-1/3
-1/3 x.
Y equals
10.
-1/3
Your horses.
plus -2.
Yeah, you still doing that? Okay.
I'm just doing that.
I know you are.
Do it.
Okay. Now that you've seen it 3 times and 4 times with our first one, then it shouldn't be that big of a deal. And there's not like 12 of these, there's only a couple. All right, we good? All right, don't forget your horizontal and vertical lines, and you will. Cadence, you remember the formula for horizontal and vertical? Then you should be able to flip through your book of truth, and somewhere in there it says that all vertical lines are of the form.
Rise over zero.
Agreed, but therefore the slope is undefined. However, the equation, remember I said it's always opposite of what you think. We think of the y-axis as going up and down, so we think it should say y equals, it doesn't. All vertical lines are the form of x equals k, and all horizontal lines are the form y equals k. And the reason for that is that for vertical lines, they all share the same x value. For all horizontal lines, every point on the horizontal line shares the same y value. All right, so here's what it will look like tonight for homework if it's horizontal or vertical. If it says it has a slope of undefined, you immediately know it's a vertical line. And all vertical lines are in the form of x equals k. Well, there's the number right there. So it's just x equals 4. The hardest thing is just to remember the format of the line itself. Vertical lines are the form of x equals. Horizontal lines. The second thing you got to remember is slope. The slope of all vertical lines, she said, well, it's going to have a run, but it's not going to, it's going to have a rise, it's just not going to have a run. You can't have a 0 in the denominator, so therefore slope is undefined. For horizontal lines, it's just the reverse. We have a run, but we have no rise, so 0 goes on the top, therefore the slope is always 0. 0 divided by anything other than 0 is 0. Well, we know that all horizontal, so as soon as you see slope of 0, you know, hey, I got a horizontal line. It's in the form of y equals k. Well, there's your k right there. So it's just y equals -2, and you're done. Easy, if you remember this, though. Yes, everybody? There's a couple of these. There's not many of these. It has a slope of 0. Is that vertical or horizontal?
Horizontal.
And all horizontal lines are the form of y equals k, so y equals
All horizontal.
what?
Every single one of those is horizontal.
No, one's horizontal, one's vertical, and the other one is.
Okay. This one is vertical, so therefore is x equals 9. The last one, I'm trying to trick you.
Wait,
Wait, hold on. Isn't
All horizontal lines in the form of y. Oh, you're saying the last one? Well, if the x-intercept is that and the y-intercept is undefined, what the heck does that even mean? Right?
okay, you're saying it's vertical. And is it just?
There is no y-intercept. So what does that mean? It doesn't go through the y-axis.
No, it's-
So if it doesn't go through the y-axis, it must be a vertical line. That's the hardest one, is that last one. Does that make sense? Horizontal lines, right, don't go through the x-axis unless it is the x-axis. That's the one that usually will trip people up. Cool? This is ridiculously easy. It is the most missed thing on any test.
Yeah.
And the reason is that you sit here like, oh yeah, I got that. I won't forget that. You're going to forget it within 20 seconds right now.
I forgot it.
Right? That's what I'm saying. And that's why it's got to be familiar enough in your book of truth that you can flip to that page. You're like, okay, here's that one that he said it's easy, but I'll miss it. Right? Make sure you have that. All right, new stuff for the rest of the class. It's just basically one thing. It's a new formula for linear equations. Okay, what if you only knew one point? Before we've known 2 points, right? Now we're only going to know 1 point and the slope. 1 point and the slope. All I know is 1 point and the slope. So let's just say, for instance, the slope was equal to m, and the point, it says I know a point and a slope, and I knew 1 point. I'm going to call that point x1, y1. Let's graph that. So I have a line. I'm not claiming it's got positive or negative slope. It's horizontal. I'm just claiming it's a line. I'm going to claim it's a non-vertical line. Okay. I got a slope of m, therefore it could be horizontal. Right? Can't be vertical though. Here's my known point, x1, y1. You're like, why did you put it there? I could put it anywhere. Since it's a line, There's lots of other points. I'm going to choose one. I'm going to call it not x2, y2. I'm just going to call it xy. We'll see why here in a second. I could call it x2, y2. I'm just going to call it xy. Here's in red is what I know. I know the slope and I know this point right here. Cool. Well, I know the slope of any line that's non-vertical is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus, well, here's point 2, here's point 1. So if I plug these into my formula, I would get that. Like, well, where did the y2 go? Well, I'm saying this right here is my second point. So that's your y2, that's your x2. So it turns into y minus y1. Everybody with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And since this is slope, we said the slope is equal to the value m. So this is equal to m. Now I'm going to use a little bit of algebra. You ready? Do we like fractions? So let's clear the fraction. So the thing I don't like is the thing on the bottom. So I'm going to multiply. You ready? Stay with me. I'm going to multiply both sides by the thing I don't like, the thing on the bottom. You're like, why are you doing that? Because I want to get rid of the fraction. I don't like fractions. I'm just going to clear the fraction, the thing you learned in algebra 1. Clear the fraction. So I'm going to multiply both sides by x minus x1. So I put it on the right side with parentheses, and I put it on the left side. What happens here? Now I don't have a fraction, but I have this ugly mess right here. You see it? What does it say, Matt? What does it say? No, read. What does it say?
Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1.
Why would that be in yellow? It must be important because this
So you do.
is our new formula. In yellow is our new formula. Well, what's in yellow? Well, I have 1 point. And I have, that is why this formula is called the point slope formula.
Boom.
Oh.
That's such a fat.
Now, why is this one a pretty good formula? It's an ugly formula, but why is it cool? Because all I need now is 1 point. I don't have to calculate the slope. So if you know 1 point and the slope, there's your formula. We have y equals mx plus b, slope-intercept form. We have standard form, and now we have point slope form. You better write that. Oh, by the way, that was approved. I proved it. Write this down. This is 13-8 or 13.8. This is the point slope formula. The point, and this is high school students where they get confused. The point that I will give you will go where it says x1, y1. The other x and the y, those are your normal variables that stay variables. The point slope is the x1, y1, and the m. Those will be the values we will substitute in. We're not going to substitute anything into this x and y that doesn't have a 1 on it. It's called point slope. Point slope. It is very commonly used. It is used, if you're graphing something, everybody wants it y equals mx plus b. But if you're writing an equation, chances are you're going to use point slope. Chances are, because they're always going to give you at least 1 point. And generally speaking, you can calculate the slope. Or they give you the slope. This is a very common formula. You're going to use it a lot in Algebra 2 next year.
Yay.
Point slope, point slope. We'll use it today and that'll be it. And then we'll see it on the test and we'll see it again to Algebra 2. Everybody got it written down? Ethan, you good? Got it written down?
Yeah.
Okay. This is not as easy as y equals mx plus b, right? But it's pretty darn close. Pretty darn close. The first part of homework is going to be as easy as the slope-intercept form. They're going to tell you a point and slope. You just plug the numbers in. You're done. That's it. The second part is a little bit more challenging. All right. Let me show you how this works. They will give you, look what they give you. They give you the slope, they give you a point. You just plug the numbers in, that's it. I got a slope and I got a point. Now you got to make sure you put the x's where the x goes and the y goes where the y goes. Remember this goes x1, y1. X1, y1.
You have to do the math.
You don't. There's nothing to do. This is like that previous one with the slope-intercept. You're just plugging numbers in. The form is a little bit more complicated. The issue for high school students is it doesn't go x1. What's the first thing here? It's y1. So you really want to throw this 3 in first. You don't, it goes at the very end. The first thing you throw in is the 7, because that's your y1. Okay. The slope goes right here where the m is. So you just plug the numbers in, that's it. No more math, that's it. That's all you do.
Yes, go. Don't mess with us.
Oh, so, okay, so the ones on the friends and the parentheses on the left side are literally just like you would normally.
Yeah, these are your normal x and y's that you get, on normal, like where it says
That
y.
makes it a whole lot easier.
Yeah. Because remember, a y equals mx must be, you still have a y, you still have an x. Okay. Now, if it were that easy, then this would probably be more like 7th, 8th grade. It's not, it's high school. So we're going to combine some stuff we learned. What do we know about slopes of parallel lines? So therefore, here's your point. What's the slope? What's the slope? Hey, nice stuff. How do I calculate the slope? What does this equation look like?
Oh,
And so where's the slope? So the slope is 3. So the slope is 3.
oh my God.
There's the point. So even though it looks like that one will be, it's not. We know the slope is 3, and there's the, now be careful. The formula says x minus x1, y minus. So you can have some negatives floating around.
Why is that so stupid?
Well, and notice those 2 negatives will turn into a positive. You follow me where I got the pluses from? Okay. What's the slopes of perpendicular lines from this chapter? Mike is already yelling out the answer. You guys remember? Slopes of parallel lines are the same. What's the slopes of perpendicular lines? Opposite reciprocals. So you take the slope and what do? And you make it opposite. So if you flip that slope, what would you get? 3, and then you make the opposite of 3, -3. So the slope we have is -3. There's the point. Okay. So my slope is -3. My point is, be careful, it goes xy, not yx. The formula goes yx. The point goes xy. That's a high school issue. They just flip-flop these numbers around. The quicker you can wrap your head around that idea, go, okay, it's flip-flop. Well, there is a pattern there. See what I did? By the way, this is how I would write it. The book doesn't write it this way. Guess how they write it? Well, if there's a 0 there, they're like, well, don't write it. They will generally write y equals -3 times the quantity x minus 4. You check in the back of the book, you're like, oh, what's the answer? I'm okay with leaving that 0 in there or not. It's up to you. Who's lost? I said today was easy as long as you stayed with me, and it is. It's pretty easy. All right, here we go. Make sure you do these. Make sure you follow along. Here's my slope. Here's my point. Point slope. Remember, it doesn't go this number, it goes this number, that number. Okay, Matt, can you do it at the top of your head?
Y.
It's y minus y1.
Oh, yeah, y minus 4 equals -2/3 times x
Minus,
minus 0.
there you go. Okay. Once again, the book would probably just write 2/3 x because they would say, oh, that 0 is not important. What do we know about the slopes of parallel lines? So therefore, the slope is a half. What do we know about the slopes of perpendicular lines? So what's the slope of the third one here? Sorry. 1/4. Very good. Okay. Then it's just a matter of tossing those numbers in. Be careful. The negatives will cause you problems. Okay. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward. I feel like I'm going a bit too fast. Are we okay? Okay. Yikes. Now what did they give me?
2 points.
They didn't give me what? If I want to put in point slope.
So now we have to calculate the slope.
Now we have to calculate the slope. Well, which is not a big deal. We did that for the y equals mx plus b. Just calculate the slope. Remember, the pattern for slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay. I apologize for all the small numbers. That's crazy small today.
Hey, it's gotten
7 minus 2 is 5. 3 minus 1 is 2. We got 5 over 2.
It's fine.
Oh, you ready now? Put your pencils down.
What? No.
This was something my math teacher never explained to me in high school geometry. And then I kind of figured it out in algebra 2. And then my math teacher said it right after. That's why I was like, well, I'm a genius. I figured it all by myself. Well, no, everybody does. They just, my geometry teacher should have pointed this out. Hey, what's the problem with point slope if you're given 2 points? It's going to be 2 answers. Yet both answers are the same. You ready?
Yeah.
To do a point slope, what do you need? I got 2 points, so you got to pick one. Pick one, Matt.
1, 2.
Okay, he's going to pick that one. So I'm gonna plug the numbers in. So 5/2 was my slope. So there you go. But other people, Wes says, I don't like 1, 2. I want to do 3, 7. So he plugs in 3, 7, and guess what? Are they the same?
No.
They sure don't look to be the same,
Once you plug
but there's some magic. Right?
No.
See the magic?
Magic.
Do these look alike?
No.
This is also why math teachers hate point slope, because the kids can write the correct answer, and I need to write 2 answers in order to grade their math, because there's 2 answers. Turns out they are the same. Watch the magic. Distributive property. That would be 5 over 2x minus 5 over 2. Distributive property. That would be 5 over 2x minus 15 over 2. We're going to add 2 to both sides. If I add 2, scratch word. If I add 2, and I write it as a common denominator, that would be 4 over 2, right? That's 2. And I needed to add 2 to negative 5 over 2, and that's where I got the negative 1/2. You see it? Over here, distributive property, I need to add 7, so I'm really adding 14 over 2 to negative 15 over 2, and guess what I get as an answer? It's the same answer. You just don't see it. It doesn't visually appear to be the same answer. By the way, yellow is the real answer here. Tonight for homework, you're like, well, which point do I pick? Whichever one you like. There are 2 possible answers. They are equivalent to each other, as we just showed you the magic there. Okay. I absolutely would have picked 1, 2, because the numbers are smaller. All right, cool. The hardest one is right here. A vertical line through negative 1, 2.
3, 2.
A vertical line through, well, what's the slope of a vertical line? Well, there's only one way. There is no point slope for vertical lines, right? There's no point slope because there's no slope. Therefore, you got to rely back on your x equals k. Which one do I use though if it's a vertical line? What does that say right there? Where's the x? So it's got to be x equals negative 3. You see how I did that? Horizontal line through the same point. All horizontal line are the form, wait, slope is 0. We could write point slope. So we could write y minus y1 is 2 is equal to, well, the slope of any horizontal line is 0. X minus minus 3, but guess what? This says 0 times this. What are you going to get?
0.
So you're going to get y minus 2 is equal to 0. You're going to get y equals k. So for point slope, you're still going to rely on the thing that I said that high school students always make mistakes on, the horizontal vertical lines, remembering which is which. So it's still going to be y equals k. Technically, you could write this in point slope form. Tonight for homework, if they give you a vertical horizontal line and they say write in slope intercept or point slope, doesn't make a difference. You're going to use x equals k for vertical lines. You're going to use y equals k for horizontal lines. Cool. And I think that is it. That is it. All right. Did you finish your whole homework?
Yeah.
All right. For those of you that forgot, remember 1 through 10 slope intercept. These are, with the exception of 2 of them, or maybe it was 3. These are like 2 seconds. Half the ones for point slope are 2 seconds. You're just plugging in numbers. The ones where they give you like 2 points, you gotta do a little bit of work, or vertical, horizontal line. And lastly, 17 through 24, whichever floats your boat, either point slope or slope intercept, I don't care. Okay, try to figure out which one makes your life easiest. Did I collect homework? All right. What in God's name is this? Is it like a Neopet or I don't know?
What?
I don't know.
Wait, cost me
Remember, I will never forget to put zeros in the grade book if you don't turn in homework. Seth, how did you get an executive desk?
What?
You like tilting this.
I like 2 desks. Okay.
Yeah, 3.
You got
What date is it? I have no clue.
Today's the 10th.
I know that because it's exactly 8
Seth
days
occupies a
after
whole
this
entire
meeting.
desk inside.
Seth is unique. Okay.
During rehearsal
I'm not.
Saturday night, I had
Homework?
entire
I'm
room
like
to
three
myself.
different zeros tonight.
Do we need to go over the
I have magical missing.
I'm gonna do mine.
grade calculation class again? Hey,
Let's get released.
it's kind of too late in the year for anyone to change their spots, so to speak. But every year begins anew. Like, I think a personal story, I think I told you, sophomore year is when I figured out high school, right? But every year you got a chance to change, right? Come back next year, for those of you that are like, well, I did kind of did a mediocre year. Come back next year and make a change.
I think this year we all.
It felt like not.
No, there's plenty of people here that still have A's.